Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play with AK featuring me, your host Akukami. In this StarCraft 2 episode, we'll be taking a look at a game I played on ladder. This is going to be a TvZ matchup on Metropolis. Starting off in the 12 o'clock position is me, spawning as the red Terran player. Meanwhile, my opponent, HisBossness, has spawned in the 9 o'clock position as the blue Zerg player. I haven't been posting too many matchups lately because I haven't played any games that were really back and forth games. I also have been posting games where I win, but I do plan on posting games where I lose, but not by a large margin as I've been doing lately. I've been either winning games by a large margin or losing by a large margin, or the games that I'm playing are simply too long and will not fit into a 10-minute window. I should do part 1, part 2 for games that I think are really interesting and deserve to be part 1, part 2. But just for now, as a new caster and just new at making gaming videos, I just want to keep my videos at least under 10 minutes. And in the future, I actually do plan on making videos longer than that, and I will make part 1, part 2 for the longer games that deserve decent attention. Alright, getting back into the game. Coming out with that 10 supply depot and 12 racks, excuse me. Meanwhile, my opponent, not much of anything, probably saving up for that expansion at his natural pretty soon. Scouting me in the correct position, and also setting out another Overlord scout, and there's his hatchery. That, I guess it would be 14 or 15 hatch. Still trying to get my bearings on when things are built and get my supply count correct. And yeah, not really helping my cause right there. Back in my base, my opponent will be scouting me, and will be scouting out that I do have my gas right there. Went for my 13 refinery. Meanwhile, building a supply depot here, completing that wall off. My opponent has come down with a 15 or 16 spawning pool, going to be going for that gas. Also, probably going for some early tech or metabolic boost. It's certainly in the works, or certainly something that you will see pretty common. Going for my third supply depot first. I normally put down a factory, but I don't know. I guess my blanked out this game. Put my supply depot first just to complete that wall off. Not paying attention. Anyways, back in my opponent's base, finishing up his supply spawning pool. Going to be coming out with some queens to inject his hatcheries with. I don't play as Zerg. Actually, I've never played as Zerg in StarCraft 2, and yeah, that's why I'm not too keen on my supply counts and when things are being built. Scouting out where my opponent is and moving out quickly. Not scouting out anything else, I believe. Nope, just scouting out that he's here. He has his spawning pool and his second base ready to go. And for him, not really doing any more scouting, just deciding to move out with his Zerglings. And coming out with my SCV scout, trying to scout for any forces that are coming in. Meanwhile, oh, SCV, you are so lucky right now. My opponent's 2 Zerglings completely bypassed this SCV as they were not able to see it. Meanwhile, back in my base, coming out with my 2 Hellions. Like I said, I normally put my factory before my third supply depot here, and as such, my Hellion harass is, well, going to be non-existent at the moment until my opponent's metabolic boost finishes. Well, I don't know. My micro isn't that great enough to control harass, but I should be moving out with these Hellions right now. Don't know why they're sitting back in my base. I should be moving them out. Meanwhile, my opponent moving his overlords around the base just to scout for any possible drops that are coming in the future. Coming out with a third queen, I think. Yes, that is a third queen. And came out with a baneling's nest and a roach warren. Probably going to be doing that Ling Bling roach bust at the front of my door. And yeah, don't have any forces right now to take care of that, but going for blue flame research, and probably going for that just to take some map control, building my starport. Oh, and in this game I actually plan on going for some kind of drop. Back in my opponent's base, taking his third gas, second and third gas, finishing up that metabolic boost, and coming out with some banelings at the front of his natural. Going to be moving out with his forces and moving back. Okay. Taking this watchtower with my 2 Hellions, and actually I will speed through this a little bit, as this period is just mostly macro. And coming out with his Zerglings, going to be moving out to the watchtowers and going to be taking out my scouts right there. Also taking out my poor Hellion that was not doing anything. Running back into my base and checking out my natural and just sitting in my base until I feel comfortable to move out. Meanwhile, my opponent is moving out with Zerglings and Roaches. Where are those Banelings that I saw? Oh, they're moving back here, probably going to be there to expect some kind of drop in the back of his base. And just continuing to macro up. My opponent well, I guess this is for scouting. Map developers, I still don't know why you put destructible rocks there. It's really annoying. Coming out with some bunker defense at the front of my natural, followed by that supply depot wall. Meanwhile, trying to saturate my natural also, and my opponent is actually breaking down this destructible debris in the back of my base, probably going to be attacking me from there soon. Meanwhile, trying to come out with some Hellion harass, and not really going to be successful here, as Roaches are here trying to take down these rocks, and they see my Hellions, and I do nothing about that, managing to save 1 Hellion and move out with my poor medevac. Anyways, going to be slowing down this a bit, and my opponent has gone for a Spire, finishing that Spire, going to be coming out with some Mutalis. Meanwhile, back in my base, macro fail. Not that many unit producing facilities. Come on, me. Do something better. Well, anyways, saturating my expansion here, taking out, driving out the forces that were here, trying to take down my destructible debris in the back of my base. Come on, where's my gas there? Anyways, back here, my opponent has gone for his second expansion, his third base. We'll be saturating that soon. Meanwhile, coming out with that, what is this? Actually, I don't know what this is. Oh, I should find out what that is later. Coming out with that flyer attacks, and going to be coming out with this evolution chamber for more upgrades, and an infestation pit for some infestors. Probably going to be producing some infestors just to take out that expecting heavy marine play. Meanwhile, back at my base, just continuing to macro up and putting some missile turrets around my base to guard against those future Mutalisks that I'm expecting. Failing miserably on my macro, and coming out with some stim and some combat research. Coming out with, yes, I do have my siege tech up now. Going to be coming out with that siege tech so that my siege tanks aren't completely lost against Zergling waves. Oh man, just thinking about a game I played not too long ago, failing miserably because I forgot siege mode, and I lost to lots of Zerglings because of that non-existent siege mode. And going to be moving out with my forces, going to be moving out, probably going to attack my base. His base, I don't know why I'm going here. Meanwhile, my opponent is moving out with his Mutalisks, going to be taking down this turret, going to be doing a lot of damage in my base, with only 2 turrets to protect my natural, and actually getting that mass repair on that turret, going to be doing a lot of damage to that Mutalisk horde, and that Mutalisk swarm is going to be retreating. Meanwhile, not doing anything with my forces. Why don't I do anything with my forces, as my opponent takes that supply depot for free? Oh my, oh my. I should be playing better, but hey, I'm a gold silver player. Cut me some slack, alright? Just kidding. Anyways, my opponent's coming out with that hive tech. Going to be moving up into maybe Broodlords or Ultralisks. Meanwhile, deciding that I've had enough of harass, going to be moving out with my forces to my opponent's base. Going to be attacking him in the natural. Meanwhile, my Hellion scout gets demolished. I realize that he has his forces here, and going to be scanning his front and he's moving his Mutalisk in the back and sieging my tanks up, but not too soon. But it doesn't matter because all the Banelings drop to that tank fire. Trying to take out my tanks with his Mutalisk, but I drive them away with my Marines, and look at this, just streaming my Marines to my rally point here. Going to be moving into his natural pretty soon, and he only has one Mutalisk. Why don't I kill that Mutalisk? Oh well, probably got out of the range of vision. Putting up some sensor towers in my base to spot for any more Mutalisk harass. Meanwhile, taking my third base, or trying to take my third base, forgetting about it for the meantime, as I am attacking the front of his natural and taking down his spire, sieging up, and he doesn't have anything protecting his natural, and getting that beautiful concave. Ha, I'm so Terran biased. Destroying all of his workers there, trying to come down with an infestor to spawn some fungal growth, but not being able to do so before it's killed, and moving up into his base. And that's game. This game was pretty straightforward, and I'm not going to do my normal critical moments analysis, because I really think that after holding off my opponent's Mutalisk aggression and just walking to the front of his base and taking out whatever forces he had, that really was the only critical moment I can think of. The other reason why I think he lost and I won is because of his, well, non-existent macro. At the moment, you're seeing he's going to be hitting at least 4,000 minerals in the bank at some point, and he's really not doing anything with them. And at this point in the game, he's on 3 bases, 3 or 4 bases, and I'm still on 2. I built my third command center, but I haven't moved it out yet. And because he didn't have too many forces at the front of his natural to hold off my aggression, that ultimately won me the game. Took out his natural, and he still has lots of money in the bank. He could have been producing, but I guess he just didn't macro well this game, and because of that, I eventually won. Well, that wraps it up for this game. If you liked my commentary and videos, please subscribe to my channel. Also, thumbs up and like this video. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in another episode of Let's Play with AK.